25 things to get done before 2025 and my progress so far. Hi everyone, my name is Mariana. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. So a few weeks ago, I posted a video on 25 things I'd like to complete before 2025. So I thought I'd share my progress to date. At the time of filming this video, it's the 28th of December. I've not completed everything on my list, but we haven't quite reached the end of the year yet, so there is still some hope. But I thought I'd share how I'm doing. So I've got my little list here of things that I wrote out for myself. I find that writing out a list really helps me. It keeps me on track, it keeps me motivated, and I do like these small hits of dopamine every time I cross something off my list. So the first thing on my list was to declutter 25 items from the house, and that included clothing, decor, books, etc. And so far, I've actually managed to declutter more than 25 items. So I boxed up all the things that I no longer needed, that didn't serve me, and I've either donated them to charity. Some items are actually listed on Facebook Marketplace, of which I've sold the majority of. So that also brings a little bit of additional money into my pocket. And it's such a good feeling to be able to eliminate things from your home that you don't need, that just take up space, and it really does clear the mind. I found it to be quite cathartic, so I really enjoyed the process, and I'm actually continuing to do that. I'm trying to reduce the amount of stuff that I keep in my home that I no longer need, I don't want to maintain anymore, and that I no longer love. So I have managed to reach that small goal. The second item was to clean out and organize my little shed. That's something that I haven't managed to achieve as yet. I have started, but I haven't quite finished. I have decluttered some stuff out there, but given that it's not really beach weather at the moment, I'm going to have time over the next couple of days and even this afternoon to complete that little exercise, but at least I have made a move on it. Digital declutter was number 3 on my list, and I have unsubscribed from a bunch of emails. I have started sorting things into files. My computer was an absolute mess. I've managed to remove a bunch of things that I no longer need and file the stuff that I do need to retain. So that's another thing that I've managed to tick off my list. Number 4 was to fix the holes in the wall where I moved my curtain rods in my lounge room area. So I lifted up my curtains and moved them out to give that feeling of height and space, but it did leave me with quite large holes. So I have now blocked those up and I've painted over them, and you can barely even notice that there were holes there. So I'm really happy that that's done, as opposed to those gaping holes where the curtain rods originally were. Number 5 on my list was to plant new box hedge in the back of my house along the fence line, and also to repot my herbs. I have repotted my herbs. I haven't planted the new box hedge yet, and the reason is I'm thinking of actually painting the fence. And what I did was I tore out all the old hedging, which was just horrible and I didn't like it. So I cut all that back and then cut it out. I did have to poison it so it wouldn't then grow back. So I've had to leave it for a little while for the poison to basically leave that ground area before planting my new box hedge. But like I said, I'm looking at painting the fence, so there's no point in planting anything new until that's done. But my herbs have all been repotted, and I've also repotted some of my pot plants, which just needed a little bit of a freshen up. So that was another thing that I could cross off my list. Number 6 was to clean out my garage and tidy it and organize it. Again, that's something I've done 50% of. However, the reason I didn't complete that one was, and this isn't an excuse, but I have saved up enough money to have the little pergola out the back of my place torn down and replaced with a proper veranda, and that was only just finished last week. So my garage was a little bit of a dumping ground for some of the building materials. I've managed to get rid of quite a bit of them, but there are still some bits and pieces left, which I will be able to hopefully remove this week when the recycling department opens back up close to my house. Number 6 was to replace the weeper hose out the front of the house where my roses are. And I removed the old one, but I found that by removing it, I was damaging the ground cover that's currently there. And by putting a new weeper hose in, it was going to further damage my ground cover. And I didn't want to do that. So I'm looking at investing in some irrigation. So I'm just going to have to leave that a little bit longer. For now, I'm just going to have to hand water it until I can get the irrigation completed out the front. Number 7 was to paint the new canvas for my hallway. So I moved the smaller painted canvas from my hallway and put in a bigger one. And I had just purchased a canvas from Priceless Art on clearance so I could have the big canvas. So I've now repainted that and that is now hung. It's no Jackson Pollock, but it is a Mariana original. So I'm really happy that that's been done. And then the smaller piece of art that I removed from there, I've moved into the bathroom. And in order to do that, I had to remove the towel rail and then block up the holes and repaint that. And that has also been done. So that was another thing that I could then cross off my list. I also wanted to repaint the lady that I'd purchased from Pillow Talk for my kitchen area. It was originally white when I purchased it, but I wanted it in a matte black. So I painted it the first time and it was meant to be ultra matte black paint, but once it was painted, it was more of a satin finish. So I did leave it for a few days to see how I felt about it. I still didn't like it. So in the end, I repainted it in a flat black paint and now that's all dry. And that is now sitting on the shelf. So I'm really happy with the way that the little lady statuette turned out. Number 10 on my list was to pressure hose the front of my house, which I managed to do a couple of days before Christmas. So I like to pressure hose my house at least once or twice a year. It knocks off any dirt and just keeps the render looking really fresh and clean, and it looks lovely out there now. So I'm really pleased that I managed to get that done. And prior to actually pressure cleaning the house, I also had to spray for spiders. So we get a lot of spiders around this time of year in Australia, so I don't like them. So I always spray the perimeter of my house once a year, but I had to leave it to sit for a couple of weeks before I could actually pressure clean. So I managed to get that done just a few days before Christmas, so that's all done. I also managed to clean all the windows of my house inside and out. It's amazing how grubby they get throughout the year. So I'm really pleased that I managed to get that done as well. So that was another thing that I could tick off my list. Creating a home maintenance folder where I could log all the things that need to get done around the house when I've made house purchases like a new air conditioner or a new fan or whatever it is, or replacing the water filter under my sink. That way I can keep track of what dates I've made the change, what dates I've purchased items. So I've managed to download something from the internet just to log everything into my computer. And I always keep the warranty cards and the receipts in a box after learning a lesson the hard way when something broke down within 6 months of purchase and I couldn't find the receipt. So that's another thing that I managed to cross off my list. The next thing was to create a YouTube content calendar. So this is still a work in progress. I did start something in Notion, but Notion is a little bit of a learning curve, but I did follow along on a couple of YouTube videos and also a couple of videos in Skillshare. And I managed to set up a really basic Notion template and calendar and dashboard, but I find that I'm more of a pen and paper girly. So I pulled out an old planner, I printed off some YouTube content planner templates from the internet, and that's what I'll be using. And I can also use that same planner to do a little bit of a brain dump every week to help me to continue to make content. Getting a jump on my finances, including creating a budget. So this is something that will also be a work in progress. But what I've done was I downloaded a budget template from the internet. I used the one from the She's on the Money website. It's not perfect for what I need, but I'm not sure what I need. So as I go along, I can amend that template so it's more suitable to my individual needs. And with my finances, that also included having a look at what my current expenses are, where I can reduce some of those expenses, and also making sure that I've got enough money put aside in an emergency fund. It's also about contacting the bank, because my goal for the next 3.5 years is to have my mortgage paid off, because to me, that's how I consider when I will be financially free, when I've got that monkey off my back about paying my mortgage. So that's something else that I'm really striving to achieve in the next 3.5 years. So I want that mortgage paid by the time that I'm 50. I've also started looking at my investment portfolio and started building on that. So originally I had a CommSec Pocket account, but I've recently switched over to Pearler and have started putting together a little core set of investments with some satellite investments surrounding that. And that's, again, something that I will continue to work on and build on. I've also looked at shares that I already owned. I've also looked at reducing the cost of the insurances that I'm paying, but I will go through all of those sorts of things in an upcoming video about how I intend to be financially free in the next 3.5 years. So stay tuned for that if that's something that interests you. Painting my front door. I have all the materials and everything that I need to get it done. I just haven't done it. With the weather as the way it is, it's either been really, really hot or it's been raining and I haven't wanted to, paint my front door. The temperature has to be pretty much at a consistent level with no rain for me to be able to do that. But like I said, we haven't quite reached the end of the year, so fingers crossed it's something that I can make happen before the 31st. Number 20 on my list was to set up my new journal for the following year, or for 2025. So I recently posted a video about that. So my simple journal setup. So that's all been done, and another thing that I can cross off my list. I've also set out my goals for 2025. I need to break them down a little bit further into SMART goals, and then further break them down and follow that 12-week year principle to see if I can make the things that I want to achieve for 2025 happen that little bit faster. I really need to have dates for things. Otherwise, I will just let things go until the end of the year and then be upset that I didn't achieve them. But that's because I've not had proper systems in place. But this year, it has to be different. These are things that I really, really want to get done. So I need to knuckle down, drill down on those goals to make them all happen. I did create my new vision board, and I also created my new magazine cover, which I do every year. I found that my vision board didn't actually change that much. I took off some stuff that was no longer relevant to me, or that I no longer felt that I wanted to achieve, or things that I have actually achieved. So that those things were all removed and replaced with the new items. But for the most part, the things that drive me remain unchanged. So that stayed the same. And then from that, I pull out the most important things to me and make myself a little magazine cover, which I then print in an A3 size, an A5 size, and an A4 size. The A3 size is hanging here in my study. When I'm working from home, it's right there in front of me and it keeps me motivated. I also have one in my bathroom, so when I'm getting ready for work in the morning, it's constantly in my line of sight. And again, that also keeps me motivated. And then I print the A5 size and stick that in the front of my journal. I actually got two this year in the A5 size, and I've stuck one on the inside of my planner also. So it's always there. Whenever I open something, I will probably put it on my phone and on my iPad as my computer screensaver, so it's constantly at the front of my mind and I know what I'm trying to achieve and what I'm striving for in 2025. 23 was to clean out and organize my fridge, freezer, and pantry, and I'm happy to say that that has all been done. That was actually a really simple task, but the good thing about cleaning out those items is I know exactly what's in there and I can use all of the stuff that's in there before going out and purchasing more and potentially wasting any money. This year for me is all about improving my finances, so I cannot afford to be wasting money on food that's sitting there and potentially going bad. I think it's a massive leakage for most people's budgets is food wastage. So I'm trying to eliminate that for 2025. Number 24 was to clean, declutter, and organize my study area. Also, that's another thing that I've managed to achieve. But again, it's a work in progress, because every time I find something new that I think that I no longer want, it's something that can potentially be decluttered, thereby reducing the amount of stuff that I have in my study area and also in my home, and cluttering up my head. Number 25, unfortunately, I'm not going to meet in the next 3 days, which is sad, but I've got nobody to blame but myself. And that was to reach 250 subscribers before 2025. Unfortunately, I don't know if that's because I'm a little bit inconsistent on YouTube, or because my content isn't reaching enough people, or if it's not the content that people want to see. So if there is something that you want to see, please let me know. If there's something that you want to know about me or about my home, please reach out and drop me a comment. The whole purpose of my starting a channel was to deliver value to people. So if there is something in particular that you want me to make a video about, please let me know. Drop me a comment. I would absolutely love to hear from you. That's the progress that I've made so far. I've still got a few days left to go, so I need to get cracking to make these things happen before I close out 2024. Anyway, I hope that this video did inspire you and has encouraged you to make yourself a little list and start closing out the things that you want to in 2024, so you can start 2025 fresh and with a clear mind. So if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, drop me a comment. Like I said, I would love to hear from you. And if you found value in this video, please subscribe and bring me a little bit closer to my 250 before 2025 subscriber goal. Anyway, that's it from me for today, guys. Until the next one, I hope you all have a fabulous day. Bye.